internet here is always a fun and a joy. So starting today, we're talking about giving helping versus giving space. And this came out of a private client session the other day, and it was so awesome that I wanted to make this live video for you because it's at the crux of the healer's paradox. I also call it the helper's paradox. And that's in its simplest form. It's about that the very need to help stops us from being able to help. So, what I mean by that is when we have that knee jerk response, that knee jerk need to help, it shuts off our brain, just like our actual cognitive abilities, our creative problem solving abilities, because we're so emotionally involved that we can't actually be truly present. I see myself in this a lot as a parent. As soon as my 4-year-old daughter has an emotional response, I have this instant need to go and fix the problem. Even though when I take just a moment, I can see she's crying because she can't get the puzzle piece in. She's having a little freak out because she can't get the puzzle piece in. For me now, I can see that's a time for me to pause and give her space to figure it out on her own. So bringing this into the world of being a healer or a life coach or a therapist, even possibly sometimes artists and nonprofit workers, there's this real distinction between giving space and helping. And this came up, like I said, in a private client session. So so for her, let's stay specific. For her, it came up because she realized that she was doing a lot so that people would need her, so that people would stay in her life. She had this fear of losing people from her life, clients as well in her personal life, but it came up more so with clients. And so she was lowering her rates for this one client because the client needed her. And one, it feels good to be needed, but two, she was afraid of losing the client, and she was afraid that the client really needed her, and this client wouldn't have someone if they didn't have her in their life. So she noticed that the more they needed help, the more she was attaching in that kind of codependent way to help. And she wasn't able to give the same space and the same breadth and the same freedom to this client so that the client could be self-empowered and figure it out on their own. And of course, there are degrees of separation. We don't just throw a child straight into the lake without a life jacket first off. There are degrees of separation, but eventually we give as much space as we possibly can so that the client or the child can figure it out on their own. So the other part of this that I saw that comes up big time that I wanted to share in this video is we help because we overhelp, we overgive because it actually helps us feel more confident. It helps us feel better. And if we were to raise our rates, and that would be uncomfortable. It would be such discomfort. We stick with the helping people. We stick with the lower rates for our work. We stick with the overgiving and the people pleasing because it actually helps or we think it helps our confidence, but it's actually a counterfeit confidence. It's not the real deal. It's not the true confidence. And it ends up feeding the imposter complex even more. And if you've heard me talk before about the 8 pillars of the imposter complex, people pleasing is one of those pillars because the more we people please, the more we give into that need to help, that knee-jerk response, that emotional response, one, the less we help, but two, the more it feeds our imposter complex because those clients probably are not doing the work or not as much as our other clients are. They're probably not getting the same results. They're probably coming from a lot of need energy, and we're responding to that need energy, which creates more need energy. In the same way that Mother Teresa talked about never showing up to an anti-war rally, she'd only show up for a peace rally. We want to show up for our clients in that empowered energy, not in the responding to need. Now, sometimes, let's be responsible, our clients and we are in need. And the worst thing we can do is say, "Oh, sorry, you're in a needy vibe. I'm not going to talk to you today." That's not what I'm saying. Let's be responsible. But what I am saying, we're talking about the bigger patterns, the meta patterns here. So what can you clear? What beliefs can you clear? What energy can you clear to help you step out of the helping and into the giving space? Well, it's this crux of a clearing that you may hate, but let's go for it anyways. The belief that you need to help. Would you be willing to destroy that at the point of creation? Similar but different, the belief that people need your help. Would you be willing to destroy that at the point of creation? Also, all the ways you are lowering your prices or making your energy or your being smaller so that you're more available to those that need your help. Would you be willing to destroy that at the point of creation? So that seems counterintuitive because we want to grow and expand our visibility online, our reach online. But there's this other fear that comes in that if we're too big, we're not available to help. That maybe we're being too surface or we're not really diving deep with people. And for most of us, it's an unconscious fear. It's not a rational fear. That, yeah. So if that's there for you, let's clear that. So the story that if you got too big or expanded too much, you wouldn't be available to truly help the people that really need it. Would you be willing to step out of that story at the point of creation? Okay, so if this topic resonates for you, please do comment below. Let me know. Let me know if this resonates, if this feels like you, if this sounds like you. I have a webinar. It's a free webinar coming up on the 18th. It's called The Healer's Helper's Paradox, and we're going to dig into that. We're going to dig into the 8 pillars of the imposter complex and that how it applies directly and specifically for healers, coaches, as well as sometimes artists. We're gonna dive into it. We're gonna piece it apart. It's a very meaty webinar. It's gonna be belief clearings, time for individual belief clearing moments for the people that are live. So if you would like the link for that, please do comment below, and I would love to see you there. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.